Good morning, episode 37, Raptus Real Estate, Chris Raptus. Due to popular demand, doing another video. It's good to see the positive feedback, so I'm just gonna do a little rant today, express my disappointment to those clients and friends and family that I've spoken to about the RBA not dropping the rates. I mean, only in Australia would you find a 3% chance, right? So they were tipping 97% chance that the RBA was going to drop the rates by 0.25 basis points. Of course, the 3% chance that they didn't drop the rates came true. So it's just mind-boggling, right? I guess what a good example of what just happened in the last 48 hours is the rain yesterday, right? It was absolutely pelting. One of the wettest days we've had in Adelaide, South Australia for a long time, right? And I was on the road yesterday doing my appointments, and I probably came across 6 potential accidents on the road. People just couldn't drive, didn't know how to handle the weather, the water. Saw like 5 or 6 ambulances on the road. So it's kind of like everyone has a breaking point, right? Like that's been proven and tested. But just to see how people have not been conditioned, I think, and this is where it's all tying into, is they're conditioning us, right, to see how much pain they can put us through, and I'm just sick and tired of it, right? Bitcoin just hit 112,000 USD, all-time high. People are just sick and tired of the banking system. They're sick and tired of being ripped off. They're sick and tired of the inflation. They're sick and tired of the diminishing returns not catching up with inflation, right? And in my opinion, I think it's just a big joke. And I know it's going to be controversial, but it's the same people that are pissing on you that are telling you it's raining, right? So I think I'm disappointed to see that the rates weren't dropped. When we've got articles coming out in America saying that Donald Trump's going to put the rates to the floor. I read something like 200 basis points in the States. So what that means is we're going to have a flywheel effect, and if that happens, we probably will follow suit, the property market is going to set all-time highs. I think that's just inevitable. Could be wrong. Do your own research. None of this is financial advice, but if they drop the rates like they're saying they're going to in America, then things are just going to go ballistic in the property market. So I mean, it's good if you're a rate holder. But at the end of the day, why they didn't drop the rates, it just doesn't make sense. But we put them there. We put these bureaucrats into the positions, and yet no one does anything about it. They just whinge and moan, but we don't do anything about it. So hey, here I am, getting it off my chest. I'm disappointed extremely. I really did feel in my heart that they were going to drop the rates. What am I seeing in the property market? Well, I think it's probably the calm before the storm. I think that's why you've seen a lot of properties on the market at the moment. Rentals still moving. At least a property in Blair Athol had almost 50 applications in 48 hours at $600 a week. Massive lineup of potential tenants at the property at 6 o'clock at night on a Monday, right? And the property was advertised 24 hours beforehand for an opening time. So it just goes to show that the rental market is definitely tight. We've got one more at that 600 mark at Mansfield Park. I feel that one's going to move very quickly over the next few days. And we have an open inspection tonight at Ripon Road, Clarence Park. That's at 900, beautiful townhouse. Very close to good amenities. Anyone that knows Clarence Park, it's in the Unley Council area. Fantastic townhouse, great location, well-built home. Quality appliances, Bosch, Daikin air conditioning units, just to name a few features. That being said, I guess there's my rant. Obviously disappointed about the rates. Pretty casual and cool today. as we battle this weird, cold, wet weather. And all we can do is be positive, right? And that's the main thing, is be positive, question everything. And that's, I guess the beauty of being in business for 20 years is you get to a point where you can start questioning, your choices and why things are being said, why certain agendas are being pushed down our throat. But I think as Australians, we've had enough of the bullshit. And I think people are starting to admire somewhat my way of doing business, which hasn't been the popular way, which is just to tell the truth and tell it how it is, other than sugarcoat it. Because I think that's all that's happened to us in Australia is we've become very woke. We're sugarcoating everything. We don't want to offend people, and I feel like we've lost our identity, right? So I think I'm asking you as Australians, right, to stand up for what it is that you believe in, talk the truth. I feel that as Aussies, we've always had that passion, but I feel we've lost, that way to tell things how it is, because we've been, so conscious about offending people. Well, tough titties, as the saying goes. Let's buckle up. Let's see what happens, moving forward this new financial year. We've got to be positive. Because if they do drop the rates in the States and we follow suit, it means that the property market will be accelerated. They're just going to put fuel on the fire, and property prices are going to artificially inflate again. So let's see what happens. It's a monumental day for Bitcoin. Obviously, people see it as a alternative risk asset, as they call it, a risk-on asset. If they do drop the rates again, it also means that people will be putting their money into riskier assets as well, and Bitcoin is seen as a risk on assets. So yeah, let's see what happens. I still predict property prices are going to go up, rental prices are going to continue to be strong and go up. Adelaide growth is going to continue to be around that 10% double-digit growth rate. It hasn't had the growth that the other states have had. Made a few controversial comments about the towers and the development in South Australia. Some people have liked my comments, some people have not. But basically, as I've said, is that South Australia and Adelaide has a lot to offer, and inhibiting the growth and the development, I just think it's not right. I mean, people have an opinion; they can express that opinion. But we've not had the federal tax dollars pumped into South Australia. It's time that we start getting the money into this state. The other states have certainly had, the benefit of the tax dollars being spent there, the federal tax dollars. And it's time that, we put up our hand and say, hey, South Australia is a great place to live. It's a great place to be. It's time that, we're put on the world stage now, and the development is inevitable. So, I mean, if you can get your head around the traffic and the roadworks that are excruciatingly annoying, then we're going to move in the right direction. So kudos to those that held their positions in property, that weren't shaken out of their positions, by the negativity that's out there. Remember, they were saying that property prices were going to drop by 40%. I was never one of those that was predicting that during the COVID pandemic. And I told people that we're going to have to buckle down, and that's what a lot of my clients did. They buckled down, they doubled down, they either bought more property, or they held their positions and didn't get shaken out. So yeah, that's the moral of the story. I appreciate the feedback as well. I know it's a little bit of a longer one, but it's great sometimes to get that pat on the back and say, hey, look, love your videos, Chris, they work. Love watching them. So whatever it is that you're doing out there, be positive, kick some ass. One last thing as well, the George Clooney effect, right? So I was reading a great article about George Clooney and how he was at a bar drinking with a mate and, didn't like the tequila, and so they made their own tequila label, and he ended up making more money with his tequila label than movies, right? And he was solving a problem. He wasn't hiring marketing campaigns, and I'm not telling the story very well, but basically he didn't do it to make money. He did it to solve a problem. And I think that that's what we need more of in Australia, in business, in the world, is people doing things with the right intentions and just doing the right thing in the heart, because that's what they want to do. They want to produce a product, and fill a void, so to speak. And look what, how good that's been for George Clooney. He's ended up selling the company, a particular company, for billions of dollars, right? So that's, I guess, the moral of my story today is do things with the right intentions. Go out there and, you want to leave your stamp in life and say, at the end of your tether or your life, whatever you want to call it, you did the best you could. You tried the best you could, you loved the most you could, you just became like the best parent, the best gardener, the best whatever it is that it was. At least you can hang your hat up high and say, look, I gave life the best shot I could. And I think, there's a certain amount of summers, a certain amount of winters, a certain amount of springs, that we all get in the world, right? Tick, 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 tick. No matter who you are, we all got, 365 days in a year. We've got 24 hours in a day. It's what you do in those 24 hours, right, that sets you apart. So I guess what I'm trying to say is, if you're looking for motivation today, which sometimes I need to, just be the best that you can. I know it's a generic cliche, but if you go into something with good intentions, I kind of find that life has a funny way of rewarding you and giving back. So I guess that's all I can do, is try and do these videos to the best of my ability, unadulterated, non-sugar-coated, not influenced in any way, shape or form. Whether you hate him or love him, Elon Musk, he's brought freedom of speech. He's, Twitter's, well, formerly formerly Twitter, whichever way you want to call it, he's brought a platform to us where we can connect with each other and the truth be told, right? Not the controlled media that we're seeing right at the moment, and the agendas that they're pushing us. So I have seen, I'm not going to lie, over the last couple of days, I have seen that the articles in the news have been a little bit more honest and truthful and less of an agenda. But again, it flows in a pendulum, and I just wish that they put more pressure on the RBA, and to sit there and say, look, they weren't going to tell us how they voted. I mean, we put these people in these positions. And they're in control of, the money and the banks and the rates, and they affect everyone, and yet they're just playing God. So I feel that the banks need to be more accountable. They should have dropped the rates. It's just ludicrous to think that there was a 97% chance that they were going to drop the rates and they didn't. We're not doing anything about it. And then, we just sit here and take it, right? So all I'm saying is, we're powerful as a people. I really hope that the next, RBA meeting, they drop the rates. I really hope they do that. Fingers crossed. Let's put the pressure on the government and the RBA to do that. And collectively, we can all do that in the comments, in the way that we talk to each other, the posts on social media. Let's get the word out there. That we're not happy. That we have to continue to put pain and have pressure, right? Because a $600,000 mortgage or $600,000 mortgage, an interest rate drop last 48 hours ago would have impacted families by saving them $100 a month. That's a lot of money, right? So I think that there's a reason why Commonwealth Bank makes billions of dollars on a country that's got 28 million people. They're making more money than General Motors or Ford Motor Company, who ship motor vehicles all around the world. I think that the big four have had it bloody good, and it's time that they just stop squeezing the life out of small businesses and everyday Australians. I mean, enough's enough. In America, they've got fixed rates where they can fix their rates for 30 years. Why don't we have that option here? Right? But no one asks the questions. No one makes enough noise. Questions aren't being asked to the politicians. The politicians don't care, because they just want to get re-elected. Why aren't we implementing these packages to everyday Australians? How good would it be if you knew every month how much your repayments were going to be? last month I didn't even know what my interest rate was going to be or my repayments were going to be. Is it going up? Is it going down? We don't know. And I think we want certainty and clarity, and we're sick and tired of being lied to, and the politicians just are not giving us that, right? Anyway, there's my rant. Hopefully we've kept it under 10 minutes. Let's see what happens tomorrow. Happy Thursday. Weekend is nearly here. Look forward to reporting back to you. Let's stay warm, and take care on the roads out there. Bye for now. See you on the next one. Bye.